Steven, do you wonder what the Chiefs are going to be like once they actually get some receivers?
I try not to think about that.
Because I think they've won 2 Super Bowls back to back with a subpar receiving core.
They done it without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, no, they did it without Tyreek Hill.
Huh.
But just imagine if they go in the offseason, they'd be like, you know what, we could do better. Let's go get Mike Evans. Let's go get DeAndre Hopkins. Let's go get guys that can actually catch the goddamn football and get better than, us being a subpar Super Bowl team.
That's what makes this one such a, I don't know, for a letdown for anyone who doesn't want the Chiefs to become a dynasty. It's like when they were as flawed as they've ever been, when it seemed like they were down and out this regular season. They just come right back in the postseason. They managed to win the Super Bowl. And they did it with probably one of their worst teams under Mahomes, at least one of their worst offenses. Their defense is a little different. But
best defense, hands down.
Yeah, but not winning it when you have Rashee Rice and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Mecole Hardman, and then a Travis Kelce who somehow turned back the clock on that 1 3rd down for the first down that led to the field goal at the end of the game, the easy chip shot for Harrison Butker at the end of regulation. Yeah, that makes this a scary team, and Patrick Mahomes is one of one, man. God damn it.
Only 28 years old and already's got 3 Super Bowl championships. I don't know how young Tom Brady was when he won his first 3, but yikes.
Yeah, he's the second youngest among Aikman, Bradshaw, Brady. Who's the other one I'm forgetting? Montana, obviously. But yeah, Mahomes is the second youngest to get. I think Tom Brady was the youngest, but
okay.
Yeah, Mahomes is just behind him.
So you could say it's a dynasty, right? 3 and 5 years?
Yeah. If I call the Giants a dynasty after 2010, 2012, and 2014, I have to call the Chiefs a dynasty. It's just,
man.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously Niner fans are hurting today, and we'll get to it. But I mean, shit, Raider fans, this is what they had nightmares of. Is this team is just kicking the league's ass,
right?
And you got to see them twice a year, and it's not gonna get any easier. It's not gonna get easier for the whole league. The whole league has trouble with Mahomes and the Chiefs, but we'll get into it today. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, the Super Bowl reaction show.
Yeah.
Chiefs win 25-22, and I know Niner fans are feeling it today. Did a lot of sports talk radio today, 4 hours of it. So devastating that Adam Copeland didn't even want to do the show today. Yeah, but thanks to Tom Tolbert, he saved us. But yeah, I mean, everybody is demoralized, just sad. I mean, I feel for 49ers fans, and I know that I come across as the Niner hater. I'm not Marshawn Lynch going through a casino going, fuck you to every 49er fan. We should play that later, by the way. That was, funny to me, but I'm sure they don't want to, experience that right after one of the most, I don't know, Steven, I mean, like, I know you're not a Niner fan, and we'll ask everybody on the chat tonight. We got quite a bit of Niner fans. The 2 Ernies, Otis Bird, AJ Cruz. This has to be the most demoralizing or just worst 49er loss in history, don't you think?
Yeah. I'm not going to, if any of the Niner fans in the chat want to weigh in with theirs, I mean, how could it get more demoralizing than a Super Bowl loss in overtime? And having rewatched the condensed version of the game, I didn't watch the entire thing in real time, but rewatching that condensed version that they put on NFL.com or whatever, felt like the 49ers had this one.
Yeah.
It really did. And it may have felt like in the 3rd and 4th quarters as it was, as it seemed like the Chiefs were starting to pick up a little bit of steam, especially after the muff punt. 49ers still had their chances, man. I don't know if they're going to be able to get over this one. This could be the one to look back on, because it's not just the game either. It's not just the overtime loss. It's the fact that the Niners cruised this year, with exception to a few games. Obviously you had the 3 losses in that 3-loss streak, but that was without Trent Williams for a couple of them. Deebo Samuel was out of those games too. So you were missing some of your key pieces. You get them back. They're looking good. Then obviously that loss against the Ravens hurt on Christmas Day, but then you win out the rest of the season. You get the 1 seed. You You crushed the. I didn't even bring this up. The Ernie's put this our way in Twitter on Twitter, but Lane Johnson of the Eagles basically said the Niners broke them this
Yep.
year.
Yep.
So they broke the Eagles. I was wrong on that. I said they put the little crack in the Eagles. Then I said they were officially broken after losing to the Seahawks. Anyway, I don't need to get into that. But point being, with everything that transpired over the course of this season, with the fairy tale that was Brock Purdy, with Offensive Player of the Year and Christian McCaffrey staying healthy until the Super Bowl, with them, I think it was with Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and then McCaffrey all over 1,000 scrimmage yards. I think they were like the first team in history to have 2 wide receivers, a running back, and a tight end all surpass 1,000 scrimmage yards. I could be wrong on that number, but either way, it was something historic. And then to go through the postseason and beat the Packers and the Lions the way that they did, and then just to only just to lose in overtime. I mean, that year in 2019, they cruised through the postseason that year until the Super Bowl. That loss sucked, but
Yeah.
with everything they've fought through this year, knowing that they were the best in the NFC, and it felt like it was theirs to take. Yeah, this one would be the most demoralizing if I had to choose one.
I would say just the way the game played out, like to have a lead in overtime, to have them have a 4th and 1, and I know everybody's going to talk about what Kyle did in overtime, taking the ball. We'll get to that later, but the game was there, and then Mahomes, I mean, had a iconic moment. That will, that's his Montana moment. That is the moment where he went down and had, Ben Roethlisberger throwing a touchdown pass to Santonio Holmes, and I know it was easy and wide open, but that is his Hall of Fame moment, is throwing that touchdown pass in the Super Bowl to win the game. And it sucks. And that's the second time he's done that to the Niners. Yes, I think this is worse than when they lost to the Chiefs in 2019, just because while everyone talks about, the Niners had that game, I mean, there was so much time left in the fourth quarter, and that Chiefs team always came back. So they, the Jet Wasp play, they came back and scored 21 straight points.
Yeah.
And I felt like the Chiefs were the better team that day. They really were. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. The Niners were the better team, but Mahomes just played that well. And I think yesterday was a mix. I think that both teams played really well, but it was just Mahomes again. And you know what? You could probably say in the 3 Super Bowls that Mahomes has won, the losing team were the better team, but Mahomes is just that fucking good. We'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, how could you not say? I mean, like, you had a lead in overtime, and then you didn't. And just like that, in a blink of an eye, you lost the Super Bowl. Like, a walk-off touchdown in the Super Bowl has only happened twice. Touchdown. I mean, then we've had game-winning kicks, but a walk-off touchdown. It's only the second overtime game in the history of the Super Bowl. It was a great game. I should say that first and foremost. Like, I know you and I are not Niner fans, but just having no, skin in the game, it was a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was defensive oriented, and then for it to get to where it was in overtime, I thoroughly enjoyed this game.
Locked in, just locked in.
Yep.
I kept on taking laps around the apartment as I was just stuffing my face with 6-layer dip. I was just constantly just Signature Select. Who else asked me that? I had someone else ask me that.
Daisy's making a comeback.
When I told them about the 6-layer, it was not do a dollop. It was a half a jar of 6-layer dip. I was having to take laps around the apartment, dude.
So, well, yeah, I mean, the game was very anxiety-inducing. But first and foremost, let me ask you, how was your Super Bowl hang?
That was cool. It was just me and Jesse and a buddy named his name's Ravi, and we were just chilling, man. I mean,
what was the spread?
Nothing too crazy. Well, Ravi has a smoker, so he brought some smoked chicken.
Ooh,
and then I had like these chicken cordon bleu bites from Whole Foods that looked good, but I think I undercooked them. So like, I was kind of nervous about getting salmonella overnight. I'll be honest, I was, because it was a little pink in the middle, and I had a little hesitation trying to eat them. I don't know. The butcher told me $3.50 for 10 minutes. Liar. Then what do we have?
Sliders. A good smoker never blames his.
Then we had Then we had sliders with birria taco meat.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we got it from Trader Joe's, which is okay. Not as much meat as I was hoping. But then I ended up burning the sliders. I totally forgot about them when I put them on broil on the top. So I
Steven.
burnt those. I burnt the top half. They turned out okay. They tasted fine. Made some wings. Kept it easy. So it was a good spread. Had a little hummus that wasn't touched.
Oh, hummus.
Had some salsa that wasn't touched. All that was touched was the 6-layer dip and then these pizza chips from Trader Joe's.
Pizza chips?
Yeah, they're pizza party chips.
Okay.
Do you remember the Pringles, the pizza flavored Pringles?
Do I remember Pringles? Yeah, Chris Pratt's playing him in a movie.
Think of those, but in like potato chip form as opposed to Pringle form. Because Pringles aren't potato chips. Those are cup chips, cylinder chips.
That sounds pretty tasty.
I'm talking about a bag of potato chips. How about yours? How was your Super Bowl?
Went to go.
Oh, we had mozzarella sticks. Sorry, forgot about the mozzarella sticks.
Can't forget the moots.
Yeah.
Like made at home or like did you buy them?
Nah, they're Trader Joe's.
Okay, Trader Joe's mozzarella sticks. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I went down to San Jose to meet up with my little brother and his girlfriend, and we watched the place at his apartment. We watched the game at his apartment, and we usually get down on some good old pepperoni and brie. Got as is tradition, 50 chicken nuggets. Actually, didn't get 50 because we thought no one's gonna eat 50 this year. So we got 20 piece, 10 between the two of us. Much more reasonable.
Yeah.
And then I got my little brother's does not plan ahead at all. So right before I come over, he goes, "Hey, should we go get wings at Wingstop?" I'm like, "Dude, do you know what today is? The biggest wing day of the year." And he's like,
Yeah.
So they're not gonna have wings at Wingstop. I'm like, "They do, but you got to put those orders in advance, my man."
How old's your brother?
He is 25.
That's
24?
a 25-year-old move right there. That's a rookie mistake. Those are rookie. That's rookie stuff.
So you and I are vets when it comes to the wing stuff.
Yeah, man, you got to order right when you wake up. Place in an order.
Not even that, dude. If you're doing Wingstop, during the Super Bowl, I would order that on a Saturday.
Nice. I ordered mine Sunday morning and it was fine, but there was also like 20 people that was inside the Wingstop. That was for the Buccaneers Chiefs.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with that.
Hell no.
So I told my little brother most wing places are not going to be able to accommodate us, except for Whole Foods. They're doing like a wing deal. So I went over there.
Oh.
Not great wings.
Yeah.
But wings are wings. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Wings are not wings. But I bought those wings and brought my hot sauce that we do on the podcast, a little last dab and a little the bomb beyond insanity. And they already had sauce on them, but I gave them the option to do it. And my little brother freaked out and had some. And needless to say, we all had diarrhea.
Oh, God, you did that willingly, huh?
Yeah, but it was the mix of the pepperoni and brie and the McNuggets, not to mention the chilada I got. So yeah, it was a gut bomb.
Did you get a Modelo chilada? Is that
Yes,
what
I
it
did.
was?
Yes,
Oh,
I
of
did.
course you did. In the
Yes, I did.
can.
Yep.
Michelada in the can. Oh, God, Derek. Never change, my man. Never change.
I haven't changed since you know me, Steven.
Well, at some point you should change. At some point.
Believe me, I don't frequent the Modelo chiladas like I used to. Because but it was quite a lot. And that's why I'm eating a lot of fruit today. But speaking of which, so Steven, you lost in the bet, and I know you don't like willingly doing the hot sauce, but you do gotta own up to the challenge, and you don't want to do it today, which I understand. But we're gonna take a little hiatus. We're gonna take a little break as we do when we do the Super Bowl reaction show. We go on like a 2-week break, so people are gonna forget that you have to do this challenge.
No, it will be the anticipation leading up to the challenge. We'll make it interesting.
All right, everybody in the chat, I want your opinion, and we'll get to it by the end.
That's not the chat. They are hungry to watch me suffer on this podcast. They love it, especially AJ Cruz. It's weird, man.
Okay, no, but they're nice people. So everybody in the chat,
they just love watching me.
The Ernies, AJ Cruz, Otis Bird, our guy Alon. What's up, Alon? Who else is in here? Jessie. She doesn't want to deal with your stinky farts, so I completely understand that.
Oh,
What do
it's
you
not
think? Should
stinky
should
fart.
Steven have to? Yeah, I get that.
It ain't gonna be
Should
the
Steve?
farts that stink. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
I
that
know.
bathroom. It's gonna stink for the rest of Monday leading into Tuesday. Oh.
So just the next 2 days. Should Steven have to do the challenge tonight, or are we all going to remember this in 2 weeks when we're back?
Please, people, if you love me, you will let me
Oh,
wait
and
it out
Danny
for 2 weeks.
GTV, Danny GTV, who was very into my dad and Tim's calls. If I could find the tweet here or the text. Derek, I muted the TV. Well, you don't want to listen to Tony Romo? I muted the TV and synced it with your dad and Tim Ryan, starting in the drive with Jennings through the TD to CMC. It was awesome hearing their emotions match with mine in real time. That's great, Danny TV. Did you hear
Did
the
he?
very end where Tim Ryan just screamed, "Dang it"?
It's the funniest thing.
He was not happy.
I laughed so hard. Like, I'm sorry, but
Oh, bro, dang it!
it's a real reaction, but like I just it was the comedic timing where your dad just kind of did the whole and the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl and then it was like 3 seconds of silence and then just Tim out of nowhere. Dang it.
We're laughing at their pain.
Well, it's just a very real reaction, and I think he had really no. You know what though? We'll say this: I don't think he had any other thought in his mind, just except "dang it." I mean, I'm sure he would have wanted to say something else had the FCC not been regulating
Yeah.
the airwaves. But I'll say this: better than what Tony Romo gave us. Hey,
Tony Romo ruined the call.
Tony, let it sit, bro.
Yes. It's a touchdown pass to win the Super Bowl. Just don't immediately freak out and go, "Oh, Jim, you see that? That's what happened on the play there. You see Mahomes, he saw that Mecole Hardman was open in the flat and they did the motion before the..." Relax. There's plenty of time to do the replay and go over what happened, but you got to let the moment build up. And I texted you immediately and I was like, God damn, did Tony Romo just ruin that moment?
Yeah. Yeah. Although Jim Nance did steal Brent Musburger's favorite call as the radio play-by-play guy for the Raiders those years
Jackpot.
ago. Jackpot, baby! Yeah, that was, even though I couldn't stand Musburger on the air doing Raider games, he was awful. That was exactly what Jim Nance used to say, or just Jim Nance said. So, dude, like, how did nobody cut off his mic? You know, the guy was babbling on for like 40 seconds.
Yeah, it was... Well, did you hear under his breath too when he threw the touchdown pass? Like Mahomes throws, and he goes, "Well, that's a touchdown." like while Nance is speaking, and also Nance was kind of off his game too, where he was like when Kyle went for the 4th and 3 and Kittle picked it up, and initially he goes like, "Oh, but he didn't get it." No, Jim, he got it. He
yeah, either that or when what was it? When was it the end of 4th down? It was 4th down, right? Where they were 6 yards away from the end zone. And Romo's like, if you get it here at the 7-yard line, I think you go for it. Oh no, Jim, they have 6 yards to go. I'm not so sure I'm going for this one. It's like, dude, you're contradicting yourself. They did not have a good game. They did not. And I would have rather had like Ian Eagle and Charles Davis on the call or something.
Or maybe Noah Eagle and Nate Burleson and SpongeBob and Patrick.
There you go. Didn't
see a second in that.
You
but
didn't?
I did hear a little of Sweet Victory beforehand.
Yeah. I saw the weird CBS special. I texted you this. The weird special that CBS Sports did trying to reenact Al Davis and John Madden and creating the Raiders, not even just the dynasty, just creating the Raiders, really.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was like they brought Amy Trask on, and I don't know, the guy who played Al Davis was awful, like just as bad as the guy who played Ric Flair in the Iron Claw.
Okay, wait a minute. They did like a reenactment like that terrible 30 for 30 on Pete Rozelle and Al Davis, where they did like the what was it called? The deep fake shit?
Yeah, there was no deep fake. This was a actor trying to play Al Davis and then an actor trying to play John Madden. And the actor who played John Madden did not sound like John Madden.
Well,
yeah.
I'm thoroughly disappointed I didn't see that, Steven.
Yeah, it was awful. Then the SpongeBob, I wish I would have paid a little more attention to the SpongeBob thing, but no, I was too locked in though. I didn't have any time to change the channel.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, the game itself was thoroughly entertaining. So yeah, like one of the best Super Bowls I've ever watched. Um,
Yeah.
Less high scoring than last year, but at least a better ending than what we got last year with the defensive holding call that determined the game, really.
Right.
I mean, honestly, dude, for what we talked about for the last 2 weeks, the Niners defense needs to play better and get to Mahomes. I thought they accomplished that. I thought that the defense played a lot better. They got to Mahomes. They covered Kelsey. I thought Fred Warner did a great job on him, and he obviously needed some help. They double teamed him for most of the game. And then the fourth quarter, Kelsey, got his catches and yards. But real quick before we get anything else into the game, I know the Chiefs won and everything is, kumbaya now, but I thought it was a horrendous look for Kelsey to bump Andy Reid like that. Like I know it's in the heat of the moment, and he was upset that he wasn't on the field for that one in particular play where Isaiah Pacheco fumbled. But for how good of a guy and coach Andy Reid is, I know it looks worse in slow motion, but it looked bad. Like I thought it was a total dick move by Travis Kelsey, and I know that he's not that type of guy, and shit happens, but I didn't like that at all, to be honest.
Yeah, they could say all the things they want about it's the heat of the battle and we've been together for so long, like this is eventually going to happen. We bump heads. Not like that though. Not like that, where the
Yeah.
guy's going at his head coach, going at his neck, trying to tell him to keep him in when he's in the red zone. Like that was the type of thing. I don't know, man. Kelsey, I think I really do think he's a good dude.
Yeah.
He kind of comes off as a jerk, but I also think that he's different between the sidelines, and I think he let his emotions get the better of him there. And it's just that kind of speaks to who he is on the football field. And I'm sure he's going to come out with. I think the New Heights podcast is going to come out tomorrow if they haven't stopped drinking by then, and if Jason Kelsey's taken off the luchador mask. But
That's great.
that was so good. But no, it was
That and him dressing up like Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover.
right. But that's what I kind of looked at though and thought this is the type of team that should be losing. Like the one that gets Travis Kelsey bumping into Andy Reid, the one where Rashee Rice is clearly pissed at Patrick Mahomes because he was paying attention to Kelsey for too long instead of looking at an open Rice in the end zone.
As
like
Ryan Mauser says the same thing right now. What's up, Ryan Mauser?
Totally. If they lost that Super Bowl and Rice Mahomes argument would have been a bigger deal than what? Oh yeah. The Rashee Rice and Mahomes argument would have been a bigger. Yeah, dude. Like those are the images that you see when a team is losing. It's crazy that the 49ers lost that way when the other team on the sideline was in shambles.
Yep. No, they were total. Yeah, I thought that they were losing their cool and composure, but it also, is kind of a testament to that they were able to still win the game despite, all the bullshit that was going on the sidelines. But as far as the Niners, I thought Brock Purdy played actually a pretty good game. Yes, he did get pressured and he did get sacked and he missed a few throws here or there. I was pointing to the wide open Brandon Ayuk that was in the end zone in overtime, or him missing on Juwan Jennings. But Chris Jones, hit him on that play. So, but you got to block Chris Jones on that play as well. But for the most part, I thought that Brock Purdy played a pretty solid game. Didn't have any turnovers, and he's kept them in the game. He didn't do anything to make them lose the game. And I thought that maybe he would struggle at first, but what he start 6 for 6?
Yeah.
And it was the McCaffrey fumble that, did him in. I thought everybody played a pretty good game for the most part. I think it was just mistakes for the 49ers. The fumble by McCaffrey, the muff punt, not capitalizing on turnovers, that Jair Brown interception, and the Pacheco fumble did not lead to any points. A big deal was Dre Greenlaw's injury, which was unfortunate. And I don't think that has anything to do with what happened at the field. I know my dad is bringing that up, but I don't see how that has any correlation just because of like practicing on the UNLV field was too spongy and then it doesn't translate to the Allegiant field.
John, it was a gymnastics field, John. It was like a gymnastics mat.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see the connections, and then he wants him to sue UNLV. Like that's not happening. So it was unfortunate what happened to Dre Greenlaw. That is devastating for that injury to happen, just running out on the field.
Right.
But also he was super jacked up the whole game and just running around, and that's just unfortunate. That just happens sometimes. It sucks. An Achilles timeline is not as bad as an ACL timeline. However, you are not the same player when you come back from an Achilles. Most of the time.
Who cares about a timeline if he missed a Super Bowl? Like he missed the biggest, what could be the biggest game of his life, you know? Back to Brock Purdy. At first, I was like, God, it felt like he missed some open throws, and there were a couple of them. But rewatching it, I thought he played real well. And really at the start of the game, if you saw one of my tweets, I was tweeting a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you saw one of them, I was like, Purdy, he looked real good. In my Christopher Walken voice, because that commercial just played, but he was looking good in the first half. And then
Sailor.
Yeah, good man. But in the what I thought was really there were a couple of plays. There's one where I thought he just wasn't connecting with Debo. There was one where Debo was in the end zone. I don't know, maybe it was like too much for me to expect Purdy to potentially make that pass, but I think it was in the second half, and it looked like they were getting pressure on him, and they kind of hit him as he threw, but it also looked like he got his feet set and he had a little bit of time. I thought that he could have maybe hit Debo Samuel in stride in the end zone. If you remember that pass, they were just off. I think Debo.
That was a hard throw.
It was a really hard throw. He
was getting pressured, and he just launched that one.
Yeah. But 3 for 11 with Debo. You can't have that with your wide receiver, especially with a wide receiver like Debo, who is a possession wide receiver. It's not like he's Ayuk, where you're more so taking chances with deep corners down the field. You're doing short, intermediate passes with Debo, and only 3 for 11. Yeah, that's not acceptable.
I think it was 3 for 33 on 11 targets.
Right. And for me, it's like, if you can't connect with Debo, and you got to give the Chiefs credit. I mean, that you absolutely got to give the Chiefs credit. But if you can't connect with Debo, then things are not going to go your way. And then you got Brandon Ayuk, 3 catches on 6 targets. 6 targets was not enough for Ayuk, who's your number 1 receiver. You absolutely needed him, especially if you were going to go away from the run. I don't really have a problem with Shanahan doing that, because anytime someone's like, you got to go with Christian McCaffrey, you got to go with Christian McCaffrey. Well, I didn't think they were running the ball that effectively with him. And even though you should give it to your offensive player of the year, it feels like that'd be the smart move to do. No one wants to run the ball more than Kyle Shanahan. And to me, the problem that you had, despite the quarterback's play and despite whatever calls Shanahan made, the fact is, and this is exactly what Purdy said after the game, they were in a lot of 1st and long and 2nd and long situations. Like, it wasn't favorable. You know, that, like, I keep on looking. Really, there's so many things you could look at from this game, but to me, after the Pacheco fumble, right, they get him at the 8-yard line, and then Nick Bolton gets the horse collar. They go with play action, and Brock Purdy runs out to his left. Nick Bolton, the linebacker, gets him by his horse collar. It's 15 yards. So you basically have a whole new drive, and it's 1st and 32. To me, that's where you got to score. And I'm not even talking about field goals. I'm talking about touchdowns, because you can't let the Chiefs back into it. Going back to that one against the Buccaneers, that game against the Buccaneers scored 2 touchdowns toward the end of the first half. 2 touchdowns, so they could go up big. And I know it was different circumstances in that game, and they were getting pressure on Mahomes, but that 49ers defensive line was dominating. Like, they did not play complimentary football, and for whatever reason, even though the offense seemed to be moving the ball, they just couldn't get home. And whether it was just too many negative plays or not having them get sequential, I'm not going to sit here and question Kyle Shanahan's play calling, because obviously he knows a lot more than I do, but not getting on the scoreboard on offense, at least extending the score in the first half, and then leading into the second half, you start off with 3 and outs. And I know everyone's going crazy over the 8 out of the 9 first plays were pass plays. Well, there was also a holding call on the first play, I think, or a false start, had him at 1st and 15. Then you got him at like 2nd 15, and all these different ways. I don't know what much of a choice Shanahan had in terms of running the football, but I think that I've been mumbling and rambling on here, but I just don't think Purdy's like the reason, or Purdy playing good and not great. I don't think that's like the sole reason as to why they lost. I'm not sure how much Purdy could have done. I really am not.
I don't have an issue with how many times they ran McCaffrey because honestly, 22 times is about the average that he does run with McCaffrey, and 22 for 80 is not bad. Plus 8 catches for 80 yards because Kyle doesn't want to overwork him because he knows he uses him in the passing game as well.
And he also wanted to use him in the fourth quarter just in case it came down to it, and that's what they did. They used him damn near exclusively in the fourth.
I mean, he was going around the sideline. I thought there maybe was a chance that McCaffrey was going to go on that play. Both teams slammed the run. They knew what they had to do. The Niners did a great job on Pacheco. They only had 59 yards rushing. And same thing for the Chiefs defense. They knew that they had to stop McCaffrey between the tackles. So I don't really blame. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that go into a game. You can't just be stubborn and just run the football over and over and over again. I know people just say run the damn ball. He ran the damn ball. But he also knew, like, sometimes the best offenses, and this is what Bill Walsh did, you have to set the run up by doing passes, by short intermediate passes like what the Niners do. And that's why McCaffrey's so, lethal in what he does. I thought they could have used Debo a little bit more in the offense and the trickeration that I saw more against Seattle and Philadelphia, where you didn't know who was the running back and who was going to be the wide receiver when it came to McCaffrey and Debo. They could have done a little more different formations with that. George Kittle could have got involved in the game, but obviously he got really hurt in overtime. Well, I mean, I don't know what happened with his shoulder. I don't think we ever got clarification with that. But
that's the thing with Mauser saying, how does Kittle only get 4 yards? That is absurd. Yeah. Like, he had to have been hurt or something, but even Kelsey managed to get his yards and get his catches in the second half. I was wondering, like, when are they going to get Kittle involved in this game? They've gotten Juszczyk involved. Why aren't they using all of the talent? Their first team All-Pro member.
Yeah.
Why aren't they using him a little bit more? But maybe it was an injury.
There was a moment, I want to say on the drive, I forget what drive it was, where Kittle was laying on the floor, sitting on his butt. And I think someone came over to him, like a referee or somebody, was like, "You okay?" And he like shook his head, like, "I'm struggling here." And I don't know when he got hurt, but he definitely had something up with his shoulder for most of the game. What else was going to bring up? Sorry, I lost my train of thought there with just Kyle and everything. What were the other points that you were bringing up, Steven, as far as McCaffrey?
Well, it's just, to me, like, if there are other mistakes that they made. Like, obviously, there's the muff punt.
Oh, third down. Sorry, that was it. Yes, a big deal. Sorry to cut you off, but the third down conversions were huge. They were. I had it here real quick. Sorry, everybody. They were 3 of 12 on third down. That is bad. And yeah, most of the time they were third and longs, because they were running the football and they weren't getting a lot of ground on the run game. So, yeah, for most of the time, it was a third and long situation, and that's where the punt fest came in the first half. But I really don't have any issues with the way Kyle called the game. I thought he called the game pretty well. I thought the defenses were on point. Steve Wilkes had a really good defensive game plan until late in the game, where I thought they played a little too much cover 2 and let the Chiefs do what they wanted, with Mahomes just kind of slicing and dicing them. But we'll get to that a little later. But
well, I mean, you remember Kyle Shanahan calling the timeout late in the game in the fourth quarter. It was like, and Tony Romo actually did an okay job breaking that down, where it's like he sees 5 DBs out there. They're playing zone. He's just going to cut them in the short to intermediate passes here. He's just going to cut them up with that. So Shanahan basically called a timeout and said, I don't know if I like this look you got here, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know people are going to kill Kyle today for the overtime stuff, but I mean, I thought he did a good game plan. I thought that him and Andy Reid were, I mean, this was 2 of the best going at it. 2 head coaches that are play callers going at each other. I thought was pretty well done by both of them. And Andy Reid, got the better of him, but he has the better quarterback.
Yeah.
And this was the most aggressive I thought Kyle Shanahan ever was. Like, you can't tell me that he plays scared. He coached scared. I know a lot of people says he's too conservative. I was shocked when the game was 16-13 and 13-10, and Shanahan had the opportunity to kick the field goal. It was 4th and 3, and then he decided to go for it. He pulled a Dan Campbell, though he could have tied the game, and instead to go for it. And I thought it was ballsy as hell. And if it didn't work, I would have called him out today for it. But he didn't. But they called the right play, and they got the first down, and they scored the touchdown on the Juwan Jennings touchdown. And Juwan Jennings would have been MVP had they won this game. He had a great game from the touchdown throw to the touchdown catch to getting the penalty in overtime. If they would have found a way to win that game, he would have been MVP, and it would have been one of those unsung hero things where the guy that you never thought was going to win MVP gets it, and it would have been a great moment. But alas, that did not happen. I know. I thought it was ballsy of Shanahan to do that call, to do that 4th and 3, and to get that touchdown. And yeah, I was shocked by that, and I think that he knew that he had to get that touchdown in order to stay in this game.
Totally. It's not that. Look, the problem I had with Shanahan was in overtime, and I know we're going to get to that. Ultimately, what it came down to though was the Chiefs made a couple of more plays when it mattered most, like Chris Jones just getting in the face of Brock Purdy when it was needed, like Nick Bosa did a fantastic job containing Mahomes, keeping him within the lines. Jim, you see these lines? I'm going to draw the telestrator. Keep him in those lines. He did a really good job of that for the most part. Then in overtime, when Mahomes is reading the defense, I don't know if this was a play call from Steve Wilks. I don't know if this was some sort of alignment from the defense, which required Bosa to run down the line of scrimmage, but Bosa totally overcommitted on that one play where Mahomes basically pulled it and just ran for 20 yards. I think it was on the 4th and 1 even in that overtime.
He got a few yards on that gain, but also later in the drive, he rushed for about 19 yards up the middle. There's
that. And then Fred Warner, even at the end of regulation, I'm going all over the place here. I'm like Quentin Tarantino of game breakdowns, going back and forth all over the timeline. Towards the end of the 4th quarter, when Kelsey got that big 3rd down catch and got all the way down to the 9-yard line, which gave a chip shot to Harrison Butker, Fred Warner, that was his man. Yeah. Like, I remember specifically saying, "Oh, it's 1-on-1 right now. Warner on Kelsey. This is a point." And they made it man. They made it go man on man with him, and he wasn't able to follow Kelsey. He didn't stick on him like he normally does, and Kelsey beat him. And actually, I think that was the fastest. I'm pretty sure this is what they tracked, but that was like the fastest Kelsey had either moved with the ball all year or moved with the ball in his career. Like with the run after the catch, he had never moved that fast. Like that's what the Super Bowl does. In the end, the team with that Super Bowl DNA just made more plays. That's what it can come down to. I mean, you could look at obviously the muffed punt leading to a touchdown was huge. The mixed extra point was huge, but Harrison Butker making a 57-yard field goal. Like even that one to cut it to 10-6, even that one, that's massive.
Yes. And just going back to Kyle's aggressiveness, yes, to get that touchdown in that moment, to go up 16-13 was huge, but the missed PAT was also huge, and it kept the game to go into overtime. If that PAT is made, I don't think the game goes to overtime. Whatever happens, if Chiefs wins, 49ers win, we don't have that situation. Jake Moody had a great game. To nail a 57-yarder and a 55-yard field goal did he get a 57-yarder? Yes, or later in the game, right? Am I wrong about that, or was that Butker?
That was Butker. It was 55 and then 53 or 52, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's right. So, but two massive field goals with his leg, and that was huge. But the missed PAT was also huge. And I'm not really blaming him for that. I know it was a low kick, but a block is a block. It's tough.
Jim, it went off his ankle, Jim.
Yeah. So I thought that kept him in the game. Yes, the muff punt was bad too. That basically gave the Chiefs life offensively. Like they weren't doing anything, and then who really muffed? I mean, it wasn't really Ray. It was Ray McLeod's fault to jump on the ball, but who's 28 on the play? I forget his
Luter.
name. Yeah, Luter. That basically gave the Chiefs life in that situation.
But that's also like why it's fascinating that special teams needs to be perfect, because had the 49ers won that game, I think we were going to be coming on here talking about the special teams as much as anything. Yeah. The play of Jake Moody, Mitch Wishnowsky, and Chris Conley. just unbelievable. Tommy Townsend on the other side too. Remember that? We brought that up in our little preview.
See, teams
Little
count.
little Wishnowski versus Townsend. It was a puncher's duel, really. It's just crazy that like two of the biggest plays in the game. Well, that's just automatic. The special teams stunk. No, the special teams was actually really good. If you take everything into account, you can't have a muff punt and an extra point or a missed extra point.
Right. No, I mean, it was in the first half. It was good defense and punting, and I made the comment on Twitter. It was a lot more Jesus than scoring in the first half. We'll get to the ads later. Good Lord. But yeah, as far as the game, towards the end of the fourth quarter, I thought that the Niners, there was a clutch kick by Moody to take the lead, and then Mahomes just did his thing. And they were lucky to not give up a touchdown in regulation there. And it was, 6 seconds left. It was kind of dicey there, which is like, God, do they have enough time to attempt another touchdown? And they made the smart play with Butker just kicking the field goal. But, man, the Niners got bailed out there, too, because Travis Kelce could have caught that pass on – did Fred Warner break up that pass in the corner of the end zone, the left side?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was – I mean, I know people are giving shit to Kyle today, and, I thought maybe Steve Wilkes got a little too – conservative with the defensive play calling on the last two drives for the Chiefs, the one in regulation and the one in overtime. But that's just Mahomes being Mahomes too. So the game goes to OT, and a lot of people are saying Kyle was too conservative with kicking, the field goal in overtime, which I think is crazy. You have to take the lead. It's one thing to go for it in the fourth quarter on 4th and 3 to tie the game or to take the lead, but did not take the lead there when it's tied at 19. Like the rationale there is, oh, well, you don't want Mahomes to score a touchdown on you, so it's touchdown or nothing. But before all that, the new overtime rules. So we all know the new overtime rules. It was
most of us know.
Well, exactly. It was discussed ad nauseum today, but this all goes back to the Chiefs and Bills a couple years ago, where Josh Allen didn't have a chance to respond to Patrick Mahomes throwing a touchdown pass to Travis Kelce to win that game, the crazy game. And now it's in the postseason where if a team scores a touchdown in overtime, another team gets to respond. For years, overtime rules were just the first team that scores wins. It's sudden death. It's changed now. So I didn't think about it initially, but as soon as the game, as overtime progressed, I was like, yeah, maybe Kyle should have deferred. So Kyle took the ball, and his rationale was, if the game comes down to, the Niners scoring and then the Chiefs scoring, he wanted to have the opportunity to have sudden death on the third possession. And that's really expecting a lot. So what do you think about the decision, first of all, Steven?
Well, I'm not going to act like I was sitting at my TV wondering or sitting there going, you should have deferred, you should have kicked it, you should have done it. Actually, it was Ravi who was sitting next to me who's like, couldn't they have just kicked it instead of having to receive? Like, you get a chance. What's the point of kicking? And I'm like, ooh, you might be onto something there. And I think they should have kicked it for two reasons. One, you mentioned that Shanahan kicking the field goal, people were coming down his road for that. Well,
that's ridiculous.
Well, that's ridiculous, but also that's the situation that you're in if you're receiving first. Like, that's the situation. If you're kicking the ball off, then when you get that second possession, you're just going to have 4 down. It's just 4 down territory, or every single possession, every single first down, you got 4 downs to work with here. So how are you going to play this instead of, we're just going to play like a regular drive and maybe try to take the points? That's number one. And number two, we've been talking about it. The reason why everyone took Mahomes is because they are scared of what he can do, even if there's 20 seconds left on the clock. We've seen him do it time and time over his career. I forgot who it was against, but one time he came back literally and there was 17 seconds left on the clock because the Chiefs had 3 timeouts. And it's like, not even 17 seconds is too much or is too little for Mahomes to try and make something happen and potentially win. Like, we've seen him do that. So to me, if you're receiving the ball, then that means you are giving Mahomes a chance for the last possession. And I get there's an advantage to receiving. Obviously, you're giving your defense a little rest. The defense was absolutely gassed. It wasn't just Steve Wilkes maybe getting a little conservative with the play calling. His team was just tired, tired of running up and down the field, especially with all these little dink and dunk plays. They weren't doing anything special, really. It was just Mahomes or Reed drawing things up for Mahomes and really everyone. Like that pass he made to Rashee Rice, I think that was a really, really good catch that we're not focusing too much on. Like he caught that right on his fingertips. Just little plays here that might have been short yardage, but also could turn into chunk plays. But I just think that in overtime, if you're kicking it, you have the advantage. And to me, Shanahan saying, "Oh yeah, we just decided that we wanted it third." No, I don't think they decided that. I think they just, I think they overlooked the entire thing. I think Shanahan was so caught up in the Super Bowl play calling, how he's going to scheme it up. He forgot about one little thing. It's called the overtime. We watched School of Rock, so I'm kind of doing a little jack.
It's called the music.
It's called the music.
Read between the lines.
And I know hindsight's 2020, but to me, the way that he spoke about it, and obviously Kyle Juszczyk and Eric Armstead just outing him that way, I don't know if they wanted to do that to get back at him or if they really just, if they're just, because Armstead and Juszczyk seem like really nice guys. Maybe they were just being 100%
way
honest.
too honest, just way too honest.
Yeah. So like, to me, I think that receiving was a huge mistake. And anyone who's saying that, no, I'm okay with the move. Well, look what happened. Look what happened. And you could be okay with it, but this is the first time that we've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday, initially, I didn't really think much of it, but then as I think about it now, he really should have deferred because you want to know what you have to do.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't guarantee anything, but the smarter thing to do is to react to what Mahomes has to do.
Right.
Or what Mahomes did, or whatever happens. Maybe Mahomes doesn't score a touchdown on that drive. You're like, we could do all I got to do is kick a field goal. It's better to have the second possession in overtime. As Ryan Mauser says here in the chat, that's how everybody treats it in college football because you want to have the last possession to know what you have to do in order to win the game. But I also counteract that with the Niners defense had chances to stop them. There was a 4th and 1 play that they did not stop them on. That if they just make that play, then they win the game. And anything could happen. I remember the Philadelphia Eagles strip sacking Tom Brady, and that's how they won that game. They weren't doing anything defensively that entire game, and they made one play. So that's all they needed to do was just to make one play, but it wasn't enough in the end.
No.
And I think I don't think people should kill Kyle over this. Like I think a lot of people want to. I heard just some ridiculous shit today where it's like, oh, they should fire him for Belichick, and he obviously isn't clutch, and blah blah blah. I just think that it wasn't the best decision, but it really could have panned out for him. I mean, like if the Niners defense just makes a play, we're not talking about this shit.
Right.
Go ahead.
But also, like, we could talk about Shanahan and that idea that he needs to be fired after this, which is.
But did they botch this, Steven? Because you did text me this. Did you think Kyle botched this?
I think he helped botch it. I think it was a team-wide botching. Like that's what I think it was. But I think, it falls on the head coach though to know that you got to prepare for this. But also you got to blame the organization. Like, did no one want to come up and did no like think about the guys we're talking about. We're talking about Kyle Juszczyk and Eric Armstead, 2 veterans,
Stanford and Harvard,
very well respected.
Oh wait,
veterans.
No, Oregon and Harvard. Never mind.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
very well respected veterans. And both of them said, I didn't know about the new overtime. Like none of them knew. No one thought to bring it up. And it's just, to me, the fact that they didn't even have a discussion, like they just said, oh, I thought we were going to score if we received. I guarantee you, had it been brought up at all in a meeting, they would have at least had some sort of discourse around it. Because what I heard from the Chiefs after was a team that was prepared.
Absolutely.
And that could be what it could come down to too, is like I mentioned it, like, yeah, the Chiefs made the extra plays. Like they made the plays when it mattered most. But you can't tell me that the Niners were the better prepared team because they've been talking about this all season, even back to training camp, and then discussing it for 2 weeks, going over different scenarios. And Chris Jones saying, oh, they didn't decide to kick off. Yeah, they're crazy for that. And you could disagree whether they should have received and, create all these advantages or disadvantages in your head. But the fact that there wasn't even like a meeting, hey guys, you know what? Let's make it a democracy here. What are we doing? What do we want to decide on? Let's take a vote. I don't know. Throw your name into a hat. Would you rather kick or receive if we win the coin toss in overtime? What do we want? And I think you'd probably get a lot of players who would have said, I'd rather kick the ball. And I think if Shanahan actually paid attention to it, because he literally blamed it on his analytics department, he just said, oh, yeah, all those analytics guys, we ran it through the system and we'd rather get the ball third time. Would you rather? Or was that the analytics?
Well, there's no guarantee you get it for a third time.
That's the thing. And I don't think Shanahan thought it through.
And also, judging by what the Chiefs were going to do, because they planned it out better than the Niners did, they were like, let's say the Niners score a touchdown on the first drive. They were going to give them a chance to have a third possession.
Right.
They were going to score a touchdown and go for 2 to win the game.
Yeah.
Just like Belichick, who plans for everything. Andy Reid and the Chiefs were talking about this for a couple weeks now. They were well aware of the rule because it happened to them in a playoff game against the Bills. So, yes, I thought it was incredibly unfortunate that Kyle Juszczyk and Eric Armstead decided to tell the world that they did not know the rules. That is a bad look. That is an extremely bad look. There is no defense for that. I'm sorry. Like, I know a lot of people say, like, players just play sometimes. I can't stand when players play in a sport and do not know rule changes. That it is your sport. You should know what's going on. Like, I think that's inexcusable. And I remember 15 years ago when Donovan McNabb admitted after a game, I didn't know you could tie in the NFL. He looked like an idiot. That was a bad move. And I don't think Kyle Juszczyk and Eric Armstead are dumb guys at all, but I don't think they should have admitted to the world that they didn't know the rules. That is a bad look.
It's either they were just being nice and just wanting to
just being way too honest.
Or they wanted to be good guys to the media, or maybe they were pissed at Kyle. Like, they're not going to say it. I love Kyle as a head coach. I love him as a person. He's a great leader for this, all that sort of stuff. But they had to have been pissed that they didn't know about the rules.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. It's just, I think in his head, how is our head coach not telling us this? Like, if I was an athlete, I'd be pissed at that. I don't know if they were taking him out, taking it out on him, but I could see it being a little bit of that.
I don't think so. I think it was just, honestly, they just didn't know, but they just didn't prepare for it like the Chiefs did. Like, it's, Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes did separate interviews where they said, yeah, the game plan was if they scored a touchdown and we scored, we were going for 2 to win the game. So, I mean, that's as aggressive as you could get. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's the end-all, be-all that cost him the game. I think the reality is just Mahomes is that good, man. Like, that's, in the end, he had his iconic moment, and the Niners did their best to stop him, and it just wasn't enough. And he's just that cerebral on the field that he could see plays or see what you're doing before you even know what you're doing. Like, he is just that good. And this is something I brought up before the season started. I brought up last podcast where the Niners are a great team, but I don't know if they're better than the best quarterbacks in football.
Yeah.
And I don't think most teams are better than the best quarterback. Like, you have I don't know how many some of the best defenses in the history of football could stop Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, he's just that fucking good.
Well, you could stop him, but you can't let it get close. And when you have your opportunity, you got to pounce on that. And that's why I keep saying after the Pacheco fumble, like, I know it seems like it's kind of ancillary as opposed to everything else that went on in the game. But the fact that they just went, I think they got a first down out of it, but the fact that they kind of just ran 4 plays after that fumble, then whatever. And then even though the Chiefs kept on letting them back in it, the Niners offense couldn't capitalize. The other thing the Niners offense I've realized is you can't have Deebo Samuel as your lone deep threat. Like, that's the guy they've gone deep to a lot this season. Brandon Ayuk a little bit, but Brandon Ayuk's also been doing more of those deep corners. And God, Purdy was so damn accurate with some of them. He really was. And I do think Ayuk should have gotten more than 6 targets. But they also didn't have anyone that could take the top off the defense. And I don't think it really kept the Chiefs honest. Like the Chiefs cornerbacks, their secondary made some really big plays when they needed to. I know they got an
Yep.
all-pro in McDuffie, and then you got
That was a
L'Jarius.
great play.
Yeah. And you got L'Jarius Sneed on the other side. But think of that. God, was it Hardman who made the catch? It didn't amount to
The
anything.
deep one that happened before the Pacheco fumble.
Yeah, it was because Deshaun Gibson kind of gave up on the play, which you shouldn't do against Mahomes. Was that Hardman or was that?
That
was
was
Hardman.
Yeah.
Making that catch, like you don't have that guy. You don't have that guy on the Niners, really. Like,
I mean, I think Ayuk's more of a deep threat than Debo at this point.
But they use Debo a lot going deep. It's like they really do, and they didn't use it though. They didn't use it too much this game, but they need something else that can kind of help them there, especially if they're going to try to replace Jawan Jennings. Like, do you really want another Jawan Jennings type, or try to find another Jawan Jennings type, which is really hard to do? I actually think he's a really unique player. It's not like he's a number 2 receiver, but good God, you want him on your team. I think guys that you can find are more speedy. Guys who can actually take the safety away from the play or take the corners away, maybe confuse them a little bit. I think they might need that in the slot as opposed to just a blocking wide receiver, but I could be wrong.
No, I totally agree with you because we all thought Danny Gray was going to be that guy, but he has not done anything on this offense besides a couple preseason games. And I agree with Ernie too here. Niners didn't pull away enough in the first half. Yeah, because when you keep the Chiefs, I mean, it was a defensive game. But what was the score at halftime? 10-3. I think that I think the Niners needed to pull away and benefit from those turnovers. Like not only the fumble from McCaffrey, or sorry, the fumble from Pacheco, but the interception that Jair Brown caught right before or right when the second half started. To get nothing from those was, as I say, squandered opportunities. Just you gotta definitely capitalize on that shit.
Complimentary football, dude. You thought the Niners were going to get back to their regular season ways. It kind of seemed like the Chiefs were on that a little bit. Their offensive line was suspect. The defensive line with Randy Gregory, Chase Young, and Nick Bosa was getting to him. They were keeping him contained. They were doing everything they needed to do. But what makes the Niners so strong? Complimentary football. Everyone clicking. And it just seemed that even though Brock Purdy didn't play that bad of a game, the offense just couldn't get going and find a rhythm. Just so many first and longs, second and longs, and third and longs too. Just the third down conversions. We already talked about it, 3 for 12.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think the offense played a bad game. I just think it was a back and forth game, and in the end, Mahomes just prevailed because he's Mahomes.
You just need more. You just need more than not a bad game. You need them to have a good game.
You need to have a flawless game. Like that. That's the point. Is like you need to be damn near perfect to beat this guy.
Yeah.
If you give him too many chances, if you don't kill him, like it's like in what was it, X-Men when what's his name, Magneto screams, "You should have never let me live." Like you should just not give Mahomes the chance to come back in games. You just got to kill him when you have the chance. Or that's what he screams. You should have killed me when you had the chance. So now that the Niners have lost 2 Super Bowls to Mahomes, it just kind of feels like, I don't want to say like it's Buffalo Bills territory because that's just nowhere close to that. Like the Bills just lost 4 in a row. Like that's just demoralizing in its own way. But there are great teams in the history of sport that just can't overcome a team or one individual. Like we always, as Warrior fans, shit on the Rockets. And they had a great team. They had a fun team, but it wasn't good enough to beat the Warriors. And I wonder if the Niners are in that territory now where they are just in the wrong time of history going up against this guy. That they have a great defense and they have a great coach and all these skilled players, but they are just not going to beat Mahomes because the Niners have everything and Purdy is great, but he's not this guy. It's just not good enough because he is on another level. He's Montana, he's Michael Jordan, he's Tom Brady. They just can't overcome him because this guy's history is better than the Niners' history.
There's that, and it just feels like if any AFC team can beat Mahomes in the AFC Championship, if it gets that far, like the fact that they slayed the Chiefs dragon, that makes them scary in a Super Bowl. Like the fact that the Chiefs did that against the Ravens, just holding them to 10 points and making them look like the Ravens of old, even though we thought this was like the best team in the NFL, especially with that defense. Although they only scored 17 points, so it's not like they put up a slobber knocker and just totally dominated them.
Ooh, I love that word.
But they made Lamar Jackson look pedestrian, really. And that's no easy feat. And they didn't really do the same with the Niners, but God, beating a good team like that can really light a fire in you. And I know that the Niners made it through the NFC Championship the way that they did, but they're leaps and bounds better than the Packers and the Lions. And to be honest, they should have cruised through the postseason like they did in 2020, but they didn't. And I think that was kind of telling because they hadn't played a full 60-minute game through the postseason. It was until the final drive, really. They didn't do anything against the Packers. Then the Lions. It took a crazy second half where the Lions offense just fell asleep and the Niners managed to capitalize on that. You barely made it through the NFC this year. And God, dude, I just can't believe it played out in the Super Bowl that way. But the fact that they made it close against Mahomes, you just can't do that.
No, you can't. So what do you think is next now? So this is, I think a lot of Niner people will tell you that this was supposed to be the year, that they were really all in on this season. You saw with the moves with Chase Young and also trading for Randy Gregory, and a year ago going for McCaffrey. And the salary cap situation doesn't get terrible, but things are not going to be as smooth as it was in the past. Eventually, they will have to pay Brock Purdy, but that's not for another year. They got to pay. They got to pay Brandon Ayuk. They have free agents, but no one really of significance besides maybe Chase Young. They're going to have, I believe, 8 players make $10 million next year. I think I have a list right here. Hang on. Wrote this down in my notes. This is for the show rundown today. But do you think that the window is closing for the 49ers now, Steven, or do you think this team can still compete in the NFC?
I absolutely think they can compete, but for the most part, you were staying healthy this season. Obviously what happened in the middle of the year, fine, but you had a 35-year-old in Trent Williams who managed to make it all the way to the Super Bowl relatively unscathed. He seemed okay for the most part in the postseason. Obviously, George Kittle was hobbled, but I think we forget, too, that Christian McCaffrey, the reason that the Panthers traded him away was because of injuries. You were good with Chase Young along the defensive line and Nick Bosa and Javon Hargrave. You had those guys. I still think their window's open, but the NFC is not going to be as bad as it was this year.
No.
The NFC is only going to get better. The competition's only going to get better. And as great as yes, I do think the Super Bowl window's still there, but you still just lost it. There's no guarantees in getting back to the Super Bowl. And I do think the Niner fans can wake up this morning or, maybe actually more tomorrow morning, maybe on Valentine's Day, maybe Thursday, Friday, next weekend, whatever. And maybe Niners fans who are Warriors fans can watch this Warriors team and see that, hey, they're picking things up, but they're also, because they just beat the Jazz 129-107 in Utah, 5th straight win.
Yep.
But they're also going to be fighting for a play-in spot. Niners had the 1 seed and you were playing football in February. You can't really ask for much more than that than a football fan. I don't know with the window. I just don't, because the Lions could be a much better team. It all depends what happens this offseason too. The Packers could be a lot better next year. Like those two Packers weren't expected to do anything. I don't know. What if the Falcons under Raheem Morris turn into a totally different team? What if I don't know, what if the Seahawks, if they have another good draft? Did you see that Super Bowl logo, Derek? It has a little tinge of green in there, that gross highlighter green that the Seahawks wear.
Well, are you just trying to cater to Mauser right now?
Yeah, Mauser's gone. Maybe the Seahawks. But look, the Niners, though, they still have all that talent. They're going to be getting Purdy with another year under his belt. And I think Purdy's proven enough that he's a capable top 5 type player or type quarterback in this league. Mauser's still here. Damn it. I wasn't trying to cater to
Yeah,
that
and
guy.
I thought the whole Super Bowl logo thing was debunked.
It was debunked because the
Okay.
Ravens didn't make it.
It's
The main
totally
color,
bunk.
the
It's
main,
bunk.
the main color was purple.
Yeah.
So they were dead wrong. I don't know, but like blue mixed with red is purple. Red Niners blue. I don't know.
All right, stop.
Sorry.
Yeah, so as far as the Niners, next season they have 8 players that are going to make $10 million. McCaffrey with 11, Jeffarius Ward 12, Kittle's going to make 13 million, Ayuk 14, Fred Warner 15, Armstead's going to make 17, Trent Williams going to make 20, and Debo Samuel's going to make 21. And free agency wise, I mean, nothing of significance, but Javon Kinlaw, Chase Young, Randy Gregory, Sam Darnold, Ray McLeod, Deshaun Gibson, all free agents. Then get by. But yeah, I do think the competition in the NFC is going to be a lot stiffer. I think the Eagles will improve. They're just not going to stand pat and be like, we'll just run it back with the team. We had a good team. They're going to rebuild. And there's talks about, I guess, Hassan Reddick already being traded. I wouldn't be surprised if Khalil Mack got traded to the Eagles because of the connection with Vic Fangio, and the Chargers can't keep Khalil Mack on that salary. We're going to see the Packers be, very good, growing from what they were a year ago, and Jordan Love going into his own. The competition in the NFC will be stiff. And I do wonder about the Niners. They all said the right things, but I do wonder if just how demoralizing this loss was, if they just lose a little bit of edge, if they were like, this was the year and shit, we let it slip away once again, and they got to do it all over again. And I wonder if there's like a little mental thing, like the way that Josh Allen is with Mahomes, that they're like, I don't know if we could beat this guy.
I think Brock Purdy's going to have to take that next step as a leader. It
Definitely.
feels like a lot of this year it was Purdy's calm, cool, collected. I'm not saying he's not a leader. Don't take me wrong, but it feels like a lot of this year it was the Niners kind of speaking for him in how he's proving the doubters. In his play, it was speaking for himself too, but how he's proving the doubters wrong. How he's not a game man. You heard the players talking about, damn, he managed the hell out of that game. Managed the hell out of that game, boy. Damn. Like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like Purdy's going to have to be the one that picks up those veterans this time.
Yep.
Because it can't be easy missing out on 2 Super Bowls in a span of 5 years. Like it's one thing missing out like the Bills did on whatever it was, four straight seasons, but to miss out on a Super Bowl when it feels like you were the better team, you've had 4 more years of experience, and you got that far again, knowing how hard it is. Yeah, it's going to have to be Brock Purdy that's picking up the veterans next year, not so much the veterans picking up Brock Purdy. So that's going to play into it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's incumbent on everybody else for the Niners to show that they're not the bridesmaids and that they got to get over this. And I saw someone in the chat said, like, in the 1980s, the Bengals couldn't beat the Niners. So are you saying, are we the Bengals right now? Yeah, basically, like that's what it is right now, where Mahomes is Montana and, Debo is Chris Collinsworth. That's a bad comparison, but that's all I could think of at the moment. But yeah, I mean, here's a guy. No, it's tough. Like I do think that they will have, more success as the years go on, but I don't know if they'll ever get back to this. Like this, I don't want to be too negative, but I mean, they're going to be a good team, but
they were historically good this season. They're not going to be back to being historically good.
They're not going to be back to being historically good?
No, like they're not going to have another season where they're going to have like 1,000 yard receivers and a tight end over 1,000, then a running back over 1,000.
You see, like that's what I'm saying. Like when you said like this was the year for them, like to not capitalize on this situation, and it's tough because when you're going up against a Hall of Fame quarterback, I mean it's easier said than done. But yeah, I think they'll look back and be like, God, this was so hard, and we didn't come away with the Super Bowl, and this is. Competition will be harder, and you're gonna have the Lions, you're gonna have the Cowboys, and everybody makes fun of them every year, but they'll be in the mix. The Eagles will be in the mix. It's gonna be interesting. I'm not saying that this team is going away, but for this team, this in particular team, to not win a Super Bowl, it's gonna get that much harder. Like the window is slowly closing. It's not closed, but it's slowly closing. Like Brock Purdy's a young guy, but eventually he's gonna want his money. And just next year, Brandon Ayuk will want a new contract. What do you do with Debo? There will be questions. There will be a time where people, Kyle and John are going to have to make the tough decisions about, like, I know these guys are mainstays, but should we get rid of somebody? Like, can you stand pat with the same roster? Is it just a matter of, well, let's just run it back and maybe this time we will get to Mahomes? I don't think it's that simple. It's tough. It's going to be tough for the Niners going forward. Like I said, I don't think it's over, but this is tough. To lose the way they did and to not come away with anything, it's brutal.
Your window can be open, but you didn't win the Super Bowl when you had it there. Like, we're not even talking about a window. You're inside the house. You're inside the Super Bowl house.
Yeah.
Does this metaphor work?
You're on the chairlift. You're just not getting all the way there.
Yeah. No, I like that better. The Super Bowl chairlift instead of the Super Bowl window. I like that.
Yeah.
Are they going to be on the chairlift, on the up and up? They're going to be waiting in line to get on the chairlift. You know, that line can be dastardly, man.
Dastardly. I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you could hear it in Kyle's voice. He wanted this one bad. Like, I didn't think this hurt. I mean, like, it definitely hurt them in 2019, but just the tone in their voices. I mean, like we just said it, like, to lose in a walk-off touchdown in overtime when you had the lead. Like, most games in the history of the NFL ended with a game-winning kick on the first possession in overtime. Like, most teams benefited from old school rules of overtime. And for them to kick a field goal in overtime and not win and see that Mahomes went down and scored a touchdown, that's as bad as it gets. I mean, like, not that they, like, you know, let the game get away from them, but, like, it's just demoralizing when you think you have the win and you don't.
And it feels like Mahomes is on the up and up where he could just make everyone around him better, whereas the Niners are just getting another year older, another year of like the way that George Kittle speaks about the game. I don't know if you caught him on Theo Vaughn's podcast. No. Theo Vaughn getting a bunch of random athletes. It's so weird. It's bizarre.
Is he still wearing the eye patch?
What?
Did he wear an eye patch at one point?
I don't think so.
I think I'm the wrong guy.
He probably told a story about someone wearing an eye patch.
Disregard the eye patch. He's not a pirate.
You know, when I was growing up in Louisiana, I knew a kid who wore an eye patch. You know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But when Kittle was speaking about the game and the recovery and just what you have to go through week after week, you know, he's been in the league for a while. He's not a spring chicken anymore. Deebo Samuel is going to have another season where he's just going to try to run through people. Like, can he be that violent again?
I know how hard it is just to sleep at night.
Yeah. Like, I think the ones who the guy whose game is going to age beautifully is Ayuk. That dude's super young, and I think he's going to be what?
Well, just case in point, I sorry to cut you off, but I know I'm making fun of Derek Carr there. Niners lost another offensive coach to Derek Carr today. Clint Kubiak going to be the offensive coordinator of the Saints. So you can't keep everybody. Like, things will change.
Yeah.
And that's another thing there's another thing that Nick Bosa brought up when he was asked last night, was just like, yeah, we all went to the party last night, we were all going to go to the party tonight because this will be the last time that we are a group together. Like, I think that the fact that this team in particular, I mean, like, Bosa was, you know, before the season trying to get a contract extension, got it. They make the trade for Chase Young. They do so many things, and for them to not come away with the Super Bowl this year is devastating this organization.
Yeah, and the trade for Chase, you just mentioned it. The trade for Chase Young, that's huge. You felt like that was going to be the move that gets you over the hump. Are you kidding me? We got Chase Young for free. We basically got him as a rental. Are you kidding? John Lynch, how'd you pull that off? But that's the other thing. I do think, even though the players are getting older, I do trust Lynch to build a team through the offseason. And I still think players would want to play for that team. I think with the way that Shanahan's talked about and kind of the way that he's revered around the league, I think a lot of free agents would still want to go there. I think guys would love to be drafted there, but they also didn't have a first and second round pick. Are they going to hit on those first and second? Like, it's huge coming up this year. Are they going to have those, you know, those 500 extra third round picks? How are they going to use those and disperse them? Apparently, you read that Seth Wickersham article on ESPN
about Kyle?
Yeah, or no. Well, it was about Kyle, but he also slipped in the little nugget about how other owners were pissed about all the third round
Yeah, I
compensatory
saw
picks
that.
they
I
were
saw that.
getting.
Well, you know what? So what? I mean, I saw what's his name, the new GM of the Chargers, say that he loves comp picks. So
Right.
everybody wants him.
Yeah. Yeah. Third round picks are pretty
Joe Ortiz, I think it's Joe Ortiz. His name.
gotcha. So it all depends. Their window's still open, but with like the team currently is constructed, nah, not really. And I don't know how good Jair Brown is. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's
don't know. I don't know either, but I do wonder how long it is. Like, he played a great game, but I do wonder how long it is until it starts to change the narrative with Niner fans themselves that say it's pretty good enough for us to actually win a Super Bowl.
you gotta give that one a little bit to
You
breathe,
got to
though.
give it a chance, but I do wonder if it'll come to like that's what I said this before the season. I do wonder he's good, but is he great? Can he beat Josh Allen or any of these guys in the Super Bowl? I do not know.
Right. Right. And like, are any of these teams, can one of them flip a switch like the Texans? You know, can one of them just find their quarterback? There's quite a few quarterbacks in this draft class this year. Could be very top heavy with the
Yeah.
quarterback classes. They're going to be one that changes everything and kind of not has that. I'm not saying that a team with a rookie quarterback would beat the Niners automatically in an NFC playoff game, but I am saying that you get the quarterback, then that team all of a sudden is starting to build something. Then they're
Yeah.
starting to get better, and other teams are starting to get better around them. And the Niners have slowly but surely gotten better in this time after the NFC Championship, where Purdy, tears his UCL, and you feel like, okay, next season is going to be our year. But this one, we made it and we still lost. Even if we have the offense that was being compared to the 94 49ers, when you had your quarterback compared to Joe Montana, when you are comparing this team to the all-time greats, and they lose.
Yeah.
And they lose. I don't know how Niner fans would feel about it. By the way, just a random thing that I needed to answer from I forgot who brought it up in the chat. It might have been Ernie too. But as a Raider fan, they were asking how it felt to watch the Chiefs put
that
the
flag in
flag
yeah.
right in midfield.
That was brutal.
It was brutal, but for lack of a better term, I have no allegiance to Allegiant. I really don't. If that was at like the Coliseum,
Yeah.
if this game was played at the Coliseum,
that son of a bitch.
oh, that ooh. Who was it that did that anyway?
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Oh my God! For him to do that, I'm surprised he
He
didn't drop.
got a touchdown.
I'm surprised he didn't drop the flag
Yeah, true.
as he's playing. He just drops it.
I mean, yeah, I didn't notice that in the moment, but also I was like, I don't give a shit about Vegas Raiders. So
no, I don't care. I will say, hey man, Las Vegas, a hell of a place to have the Super Bowl. It looked like it was lit out there. It really did.
It definitely. I mean, like the atmosphere. I mean, it was kind of weird the week being there. I'm sure it picked up Friday night, Saturday night that I wasn't there, but it did look fun. Although it was kind of weird having Al's flame, the torch being lit in the background. With I don't think that should have been the case. Just leave the torch alone.
I really think they should have invited you into Taylor Swift's suite so that you could explain the game of football to Ice Spice.
Like Jason Kelce was doing?
He wasn't explaining the game of football to her. Some other person in the suite was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think of speaking along those lines? What'd you think of the ads and what'd you think of the halftime show?
Halftime show was amazing.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man. It's Usher. Like,
you know what? I'm not a Usher, like a big time Usher fan, but he does put on a pretty damn good show, and roller skating and dancing at the same time was impressive. All the costume changes. I will say it felt like Usher was trying to get at least 5 seconds of every song he ever made in his performance. Like if it was just like 5 seconds of him, I'm in my drop, it's 7:00 on the dot, and just like get every little song from the 90s and the early 2000s, and then save the big ones for the bigger audience.
Right. I think at first I was like, we've seen this before. It's just Usher doing his Usher thing. But then he starts doing the dances. Then her comes out, Vallejo native. She comes out, just starts shredding on the guitar. Alicia Keys does her thing, and Usher looking like she's trying to break up another marriage, like he did with Keke Palmer. Did you see that? You remember that?
No.
Yeah,
Keke Palmer and Usher were a thing.
No, but like Usher was performing at his Vegas residency and got a little handsy with Keke Palmer. Then her husband went all over social media and he was pissed about it.
Wow.
Swiss Beats was cool. Swiss Beats was fine.
Oh yeah, Swiss Beats is married to Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Go ahead. That's what he said to Usher. Go
It's
ahead.
me, snitches.
Oh, you fancy, huh? Oh, hang on. Ernie too brought this up. Usher showing 2 areolas. AFG should have been censored. Yeah, to anyone that bet on whether the Super Bowl halftime show would feature an exposed nipple, to anyone who bet the line at -115, you made yourself a nice little piece of money there.
Yeah.
But
is that the first time a nipple's been showed since Janet Jackson?
no, there's had to have been one shown, right?
I don't know.
That's a good point. Snoop did 50 Cent accidentally show his nipple when he was hanging upside down?
No, that was a sweaty big 50 Cent. No nipples were popping out of that.
No 50 Cent nipple, huh?
No.
No
fitty nip.
No, but it was commercials. I don't really know, but I barely paid attention to them. They're fine.
Commercials were a little too religious for my liking. Couple of Jesus ads, couple of Mark Wahlberg. Let's pray this year. I don't know. A random RFK Jr. Ad out of nowhere.
Didn't that go side by side with JFK?
What do you mean?
Didn't he have like a side by side with JFK?
Well, no, it was like an old fashioned, like a 1960s ad, like I think in the style of JFK, but that came out of nowhere. I was like, whoa. Yes, a whole shit ton of Temu. Did you see these?
Yeah.
The Temu ads? Like 5 of them. That company must be like making fucking bank.
Yeah. How pissed do you think they are at Liberty Mutual for stealing the potential to have a Temu emu as opposed to a Limu emu? And
little beep boop.
I didn't even know what Temu. I still don't know what Temu is.
It was like a little app. I don't know.
I know Temu Solani, all-time hockey player.
Okay.
That's all I know. Oh, look at Alon. Temu's great. Highly recommend. Plenty of products at cheap price.
Like what?
It's Temu? Sorry. Apparently
Temu?
It's Temu. Yeah.
What is it?
I think it's like a shopping thing. Maybe it's like trying to take over Amazon. I don't know. Obviously, the commercial didn't do its job because you don't even know what it is.
Well, I mean, I wonder what the situation was in overtime, because that's
we crapping on Temu when it's irrational? Like, AJ Cruz is saying I've gotten a couple of things off Temu.
I never even heard of this thing before last night.
Wow, we're just haters, man.
Okay, apparently. But I do wonder what the protocol is for Super Bowl ads when a game goes into overtime, that like deep into overtime. Like, do you know, like teams, like the game's still going on, how many companies have bought ad space for that? Obviously Temu, whatever the hell.
I don't know, but I guess the CBS execs are like, we are going to give you an unlimited amount of Fire County commercials.
Or, more ads for Ghosts, that show that nobody watches. Ghosts
on CBS.
Yeah, or the new show Tracker. You gonna watch Tracker?
Nah.
Or whatever the hell it was called, the guy that finds people. Yeah, there weren't. I mean, like, yeah, the Christopher Walken ad was funny until Usher showed up. I didn't think it was that funny at the end. Nah, not many great ads. Everything is the same now, with just a lot of celebrities, and the Dunkin' Donuts ad I thought was dumb with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. And
I thought that was good.
No,
I thought it was a good one.
Nah, more Jesus ads. I'm sorry, but that one was awkward as fuck to me.
I agree. I pray to
Jesus,
God more,
Jesus washed feet. Like, what the fuck was that about?
I prayed to the big man upstairs that we get more Jesus ads. As a matter of fact, I want them all to be Jesus ads. All kinds of Jesus.
It's Jesus to you. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I didn't like commercial wise. I don't know. It's just all the same shit. And as you said, Steven, we saw a lot of these ads before they even aired, because they put them on YouTube, or it's like shorter commercials on the actual, on TV. The longer versions are on YouTube. Like the Paramount Plus commercial was funny if you saw it online, but then when they showed it on the Super Bowl, it was condensed. Like, I don't know. It's just weird.
Can you believe Beyonce is going to be coming out with a country album?
Wasn't it released last night?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a couple of songs.
so that's crazy. So they're actually country songs though.
I guess so.
And is she going to they count as like country songs so she could be played on like country music stations?
Supposedly.
See, that was a big sticking point. So after we talked about Tracy Chapman and what's his name, Blake Lyons or Blake
Luke Combs.
Luke Combs, whatever. Blake Lyons. Luke Combs covering Fast Car. There was like a big thing about how Tracy Chapman can't jump into the country music world because her song's so old, and Blake, or what's his name? Luke Combs, you just said. Luke Combs can only like get that audience. But now Beyonce could get that country audience, which is interesting.
Yeah, or Beyonce could just bring all those who like her music into the country music world. I don't know. She's trying all types of things. I'd rather Tracy Chapman come out with a new album personally. That'd be sick.
Damn right.
Alon says that Duncan ad was actually a backdoor teaser for Gigli 2. Gigli won the Razzie for the worst movie of the year in 2002.
I believe it's Gigli.
Gigli, excuse me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Great movie 20 years ago.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't think anybody's asking for a Gigli too.
Nah, well, there's a fair few people out there.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, Super Bowl, the game itself was fun. Halftime show was pretty good. Commercials, I'd say kind of sucked.
That's kind of how it's always gone, though, hasn't
Yeah.
it? The game's kind of trumped everything, and then you get the halftime show, which is good. The one with the Weeknd, or the one with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and all that, and then you get this one with Usher, baby. I also like how Post Malone,
Little John and Ludacris coming out.
Little John and Luda looking like some the Globo Gym purple Cobra was the perfect comp. There's no other comp that you can make for that.
No,
like,
that was spot on. That was
what the hell were they thinking?
Well, it wasn't bad.
In some countries they only eat vomit. I've never been there, but I read about it
in a book.
What about the strippergram you sent me for Globo Gym's 10th anniversary? It was meant to be congratulatory. It was also a man.
Yeah, see, if we need a sequel for a movie, that's what we need. Is Dodgeball 2.
I don't need a sequel for any movie, dude. Keep Dodgeball the way it is. Keep School of Rock the way it is. Keep all those. We watched Tropic Thunder the other day. Don't do anything like that. No Tropic Thunder 2, nothing.
Yeah,
Jermaine Dupri. Ooh, Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah, Jermaine Dupri popping up out of nowhere.
Did you think that he looked like CeeLo Green? Did anyone else think that was
I
CeeLo
thought for a
Green?
second it was CeeLo, then I was like, oh, that's Jermaine Dupri. We doing like Welcome to Atlanta now, or what's going on here?
Welcome to Atlanta where the players play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you has a connection to Usher?
I mean, I think he obviously produced one of his songs.
I guess, yeah. Was there anybody else that popped up that came out of nowhere on the Usher? Alicia Keys was there for a little bit. Her, you said.
Yeah, we mentioned that one.
Is there anybody else?
Just the pole dancer that fell.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was good. It was good stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's it. Super Bowl wise, I think we covered it all.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless Reba. You want to go to Reba's national anthem?
I think Post Malone's microphone was really good.
Did you think that Usher's mic wasn't really close to his face at first?
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. It was kind of floppy.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, because it was, not cinched on tight.
I was kind of hoping for a Justin Bieber little appearance, little cameo. I was.
Why?
Because, dude, it was like him and Usher. Usher found him. It's like,
did he really?
Yeah. Kind of helped him bring his career to superstardom. Then he featured on Baby. Come on, bro.
Yeah, I don't think I need any of that.
The Babes.
All right. As you brought up earlier, Steven, Warriors, 5 in a row.
Yeah, man.
And that was a great game Saturday night.
Great
game Saturday night. Steph with a clutch 3. It wasn't like the bang bang that Mike Breen did. God, how long ago was that? 8 years ago, whatever it was. But it was pretty close. And Draymond with a great play at the end. I thought kind of a bitch move by Nurkic to say that he was doing the antics like before, and definitely nothing of the sort like that. So I think he's just trying to get under his skin. Kind of interesting that Draymond screamed at KD like that, but I think it was just him getting caught up in the moment. I don't think there's anything there, to be honest.
Yeah, that was just two competitors going at it.
Exactly. So, but they win tonight, and they are still the 10th seed in the Western Conference. But with the Niners season ending, football being over, we could all get really into the NBA now, and I think the Warriors got something going on here. I wouldn't, get anybody's hopes up of them being champions this year, but I think that they could be in contention for same kind of deal as last year, maybe 6 seed. We'll see.
Yeah. Now the thing that worries me, man, is they're playing with a lot of energy. These younger guys in Quinones and Guy Santos, whenever they get their opportunity, they've taken advantage of it. I am kind of worried about Chris Paul coming back because if remember when Kuminga and Moody were there, it was the second year, and they're trying to make it was last year actually, and they're trying to make the 2 timeline approach work. It's just like, all right, yeah, we're going to develop Kuminga and Moody while still playing for a championship. Like, we're going to go with these 2 timelines. Kind of feels like they're trying to do that with Chris Paul, where it's like he slows everything down. He, anchors that second unit. Well, the second unit is working real well right now. Draymond has been fantastic since he's returned. That Saturday picked up his first technical, but before that, I don't know, maybe when he went on that podcast with Paul George, when he said Chris Paul is going to unlock Jonathan Kuminga, I don't think he knew that it would be him that kind of unlocks Jonathan Kuminga, although Kuminga helped himself, but he more unlocked Wiggins and Kuminga being on the floor at the same time. He's helped out with that immensely. Just the effort that they're playing with, man. And unfortunately, it seems like, maybe they found something extra to play for. Obviously, with Steve Kerr being in Serbia, attending the memorial service for Dejan Milojevic, but
Yeah.
Maybe they found another purpose for this season where it's like, all right, we're going to do this one for Dejan. Like, this is the season we're going to do it. So they look really, really good right now, man. It's playing with a lot of confidence, and you just love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go into the All-Star break playing your best basketball, so we'll see where they are after this week, and could be interesting. Going to be interesting to see where the Niners, where the Warriors are. I mean, no moves at the deadline. They traded away Corey Joseph to the Pacers, who they play later that night, and then the Pacers, cut Corey Joseph right after that. But yeah, I'm glad they stood pat, and I think this team could be competitive. But I'm not getting my hopes up. I should say.
No, but I do think they could go on a kind of Lakers type of run that the Lakers went on last year. We were down on the Lakers leading into the break. They were 27-32 and worked their way up to a 7th seed. So I think this could be, I think this season has gotten a little more interesting.
Yes. So we'll see what happens. And we got the fuckery coming up, Steven. Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Yes. NFL free agency. Just less than a month away, and we get all into that. Because some people live for the playing season. Not me. I live for the news.
You also live for lying, because you said that was going to be your New Year's resolution to not get caught up in.
No,
NFL
I'm changing that. I am not going to get as caught up as I was in years past. We are going to talk about it. There will be fuckery specials on this show, but it's not going to last as long as it has in the years past. Well, what do you want to talk about that now, Steven?
Anything but that.
Anything?
Anything.
Well, we're not going to talk about it now because there's no news, although I will say.
Literally fucking anything.
No, but there will be we'll get some tidbits here or there, but I'm not going to go as crazy as I did in years past. Thank God we don't have to worry about any cloud of smoke, Aaron Rodgers is coming back for another season. It's already been determined. He's coming to the Jets for another year. It's happening. I guess the latest with the Raiders quarterback situation is they do want to move up in the draft, but that's a long time from now. And they want to keep Devontae Adams, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I'm not going crazy. So we're going to take some time off, everybody, just to give you an update on everything with the podcast. We got some big things planned. Yes. The Jammies or JYOMs we will be doing. We just give us 2 weeks. We'll come back and we'll do the award show. We got to figure out what the categories are, what we're doing, what the hell it actually is.
Wait. No, we've got all of it planned out. All of it already.
Do we really? Yeah, thank you. But we will do the Jammies when we come back. So what we're gonna do, this is what we usually do this time of year. We usually do the Super Bowl recap show, and then we come back and get into the fuckery. But we still got quite a bit of time before that. And yeah, we'll do the JYOMs. Yes, all the fans, the Ernies, AJ Cruz, Otis Bird is the word. Even Danny Golding TV. Send us your suggestions of what you actually want this thing to be. Should we honor you guys? Should we honor moments in the show? Should it be a football related award show? Should it be just categories that we want to do? What you want to do? Let us know, and we'll do whatever you want for this thing. Jabroni of the year, sure. There you go. Ernie one. All right. Ernie two's already suggested it. And we do want to do more podcast or interviews on this thing because I know when we initially started this thing, we did a lot of interviews. I want to get back to that this off season when there's no football and we're talking about the baseball season and the basketball season. But I do want to get more interviews. So I have ideas in mind of people I want to get on. So we're gonna try to get doing more interviews. Hopefully, if time, Kenny. Yes, Ernie two is already. Yes, I would love to get Kenny Mayne on this thing. We'll see about that one. That's a long shot, but that's definitely one that I want to do.
Lie to him. Say we get a lot of viewers. Say that we got the sponsorships. Just make it seem like we're a popular podcast.
Yeah, go ahead. Throw these names at us. We need Captain Tom. We'll see if Tom's. And you know what? If I entice him with some beer, and he could definitely drink on this thing. So, Guru's already been on Otis Bird, but we could get Guru back on again.
It's been like 2 years, dude. We can get him on.
I know, but I want to, change it up a little bit. Like it's been 2 years. We haven't got Lorenzo Neal on once. It's been a pain in the ass.
Well, we're not the only ones. It's not hard.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it's tough to if we catch them, we just got to make because you're gonna do it on the phone because I'm at the gym, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Well, whatever. Right, fine.
I know. So yes, definitely give us some suggestions of who you want to see. Copes, no Copes. Can't tolerate him for any more than I have to deal with him.
Ooh.
It's a joke. We'll get him on.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. You guys going at each other, huh? Old 5 a.m. supremacy.
No, I was just going to get dirt on you.
Yeah, we could talk about your 95.7 versus KMBR days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You want me to talk about like how, hey, man, how did those ratings turn out when I was doing Langford's long balls at 5:45 every Friday?
You got the data, huh? So yeah, we'll definitely
don't know what they look like.
We'll definitely do more interviews with people that want to come on and join us because met up with Evan in Vegas and he was like, dude, I had such a fun time doing the podcast with you guys. If there's any another time I could come on with you guys and just talk about shit that I want to talk about, like I would love to. So Evan's going to join us a little bit more. We'll get more of our friends, of course, Alon. And yeah, we'll get more people to join us in the off season. And I know a lot of people like, all the Ernies and everybody in the chat has said, like, can we get like a JYOM, meet up and anything? I would love to do a live show. And I have some ideas in mind, but that is on the back burner for right now. But a goal is to do one live show in the Bay Area eventually. I would love to do that.
It'd be great.
We just got to find a place that's willing to do it. But that would be awesome to do a live show one day. So, yeah, we got some big things planned, but we're going to take some time off. We will be back. I'll give you guys the date. I usually go see my mom, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to go see my mom in Del Boca Vista this Friday, and I'm going to stay with her for
I like
about
her
a week.
too. We're live from a Taco Bell.
Yeah, you definitely would love that.
Yeah. If we get free cheesy gordita crunches, I'm all in, bro.
The plan is Steven and I will return for another season of Just Your Opinion Man, the off season, on February 27th. We'll be back then. Good with you, Steven? We'll take about 2 weeks off from now. Yeah,
February 27th. Yeah, I'll be good.
Seems like a long time from now.
I'll be good.
You say that now, but of course, like, oh no, dude, I'm going to some festival. I can't make it.
There is a real chance that I'm going to this play on that day, but we'll see.
What play?
27th. When is the 27th?
A Tuesday.
Oh, it's a Tuesday? Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Scratch that. False alarm. We'll be good on the 27th.
So, yeah, as Ernie 2 brings up here, February 27th, hot sauce time. You got 2 weeks to prepare.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you guys so much because you guys, this podcast is very small. Not a lot of people listen to it, being totally honest. But the fact that we get an audience and more people listening to it means a lot to us. So thank you for listening to us talk about football and God knows what. Right, Steven?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, it's partially my fault. I don't post a lot of videos like I should be, but we do want to grow this thing. We want to keep it going. So it all starts with you guys. So we appreciate it. We really do.
All right.
We really do.
Thanks to all you guys, the Ernies, AJ Cruz, Otis Bird is the word. Usually Skills is in the chat, but he hasn't been in quite some time. So we're gonna forget about Skills for right
God
now.
damn it, Skills.
No, we love you. Even Ryan Mauser, Alon, thanks to all our friends who helped promote this thing. Even Jesse. And yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks, February 27th. Thank you guys for joining us this football season. Not gonna be the same. This is the saddest time of year for me, but at least we got the fuckery. Right, Steven?
Ugh. I'm excited to get back on the pod, but not to talk about free agency.
I know. We'll talk about Oscars and all the shit that you like. We'll do more in the off season. We do a lot more pop culture stuff too.
Yes, this is true.
Yes. All right. Until that time, thanks everybody. We love you. Steven, say what you always say.
It's just our opinion, man. Was that cool?
Actually, it was kind of cool. It's kind of like a Kid Rock thing.